So can you tell us a bit about like the next ones after chaining? So this is when you like changed your mindset and it paid off because you became like top 10 and you got like 6 point something K. But then what happens in Lens? Like from like being number 10, you conquered Luxo and Lens protocol. How did that happen? What was your mindset when you approached this contest? And I mean, it wasn't luck, obviously. It's like there is some kind of hard job and like that was there. So can you tell us a bit about the next ones, like after CCIP, like Lens and Luxo?
Yeah, I mean, okay. First of all, I think there's partial luck here. Not in like the auditing sense, but this was like during, I think it was July where there were a lot of contests at the same time. So, obviously when there are a lot of contests, you have competition spread over like a lot more prize money. So that's why like my payouts are so huge. Like if you were to do this now, I don't think the chances of getting like such a huge payout are quite low. But after Chainlink, Chainlink like did show me that I had what it takes, I think, because although like there were a lot of small mediums that I missed, but I managed to find all the highs, which is like an achievement in a sense. Like every single like high risk bug or a serious bug I did find. So it did show me that understanding a protocol before you start looking for bugs is crucial. And now after that, my approach was like, now I tell people that auditing is like in 3 phases. So you have like the understanding phase first, where your goal in this phase is to just go through the code base and to understand every single line and how the protocol works. And like if you see a bug, you see a bug or you see something that you want to look deeper into, like let's say it has an external integration with like a chaining oracle, instead of like diving into it immediately to find a bug, you write a like audit tag here to say, oh, look at this data, or oh, I think there's a bug here. And then you just keep continuing to go on and you just keep reviewing the entire code base. Yeah, okay.
So
Before that,
so
like,
in the first phase, basically, before you actually try to find for bugs, you really try to understand the protocol. Like you were the one who wrote it, like you were the one who designed it or wrote the smart contracts, and you don't get drawn to actually exploring bugs and writing them. You just leave notes here and there to come back later to it. Am I right?
yeah, exactly. Like, I remember the Luxo contest. For context, Luxo is like it's something like a library, I guess, like Open Zeppelin, you can say. So there were a lot of like proposals. I gave myself like 1 or 2 weeks to go through every single proposal, every single contract in like a structured manner. Yeah, another emphasis is that you have to do it in an order that makes sense. Like if you're doing I would say if you're doing a staking contract, you review it in a order that makes sense to you. What I like to do is I do it top down. I review a contract that calls all like the, how do I put this? Okay, I would say like if let's say you have like a protocol that uses a lot of inheritance. So what I like to do is I review the parent contract first that inherits the child contract. Then after that, once I understand sort of what the parent contract is doing, then I look at all the functions that it's calling, what all the functions that it inherits, and what are functions that are called in the child contract. So I get like sort of a top-down view into the protocol. Yeah, so this is basically the understanding phase to me.
Parent contracts to child contracts. Doesn't matter how big the contracts are. You don't go by lines of code. You don't go by like some kind of order. Just this is your methodology going from parent to child contracts, right?
Yeah, I mean, okay, this is different for everyone. I did try. I think some people do it the opposite way. They review like the base contract that all the other contracts inherit, and then they go upwards instead. But I remember doing this in a protocol, and I didn't understand anything because I didn't have a mental overview of what the protocol does. Like, I think I
So
like to call
you're
it.
starting from the main contract to the entry point, I guess, for the transactions, the father one, and then going to the libraries and modules or the inherited contracts, right? It makes sense actually.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I think your way of describing is way better because it's
Because
sort of like you have a
makes sense, because the fodder contract, the big one is the entry point. It's the way that users are interacting with the protocols, right? If you think about the transaction that comes from the EO account, usually it will go first to the fodder contract, and then it will either go to other contract. It's so you're basically, if there is a diagram, and you will go first to the contract, which is the entry point that receives the transaction, right? Sometimes there are plenty of them, but this would be your first priority to understand the main logic of the protocol.
exactly, yeah. I think I sort of think of it as like it's like doing a puzzle. You sort of understand, you have a big picture of what the puzzle should look like, and then you look at all the individual pieces of the puzzle, and sort of when you keep looking through at them, you learn how to connect them eventually to once again form the huge picture at the end again. So this is what I like to describe it as, I guess.
Very
So
beautiful. Yeah.
after the understanding phase, then now is like the fun part where you just look at bugs. So when in the understanding phase, you will definitely go through things where you look at a function and goes, oh, this is just wrong. Or you look at a function and you say like, there's probably a bug here if I look deeper. So in this phase, I guess I'll call it ideating or like attacking. You just look at all these functions, you just go deep into them to sort of think of ideas of how you can break the protocol itself. Because like I'm pretty sure that if you understand a protocol at that, there wouldn't be a case where you have no idea what to look at all. And if there really is a case where you understand the protocol fully and then you're like, oh, I didn't find anything, I have no idea what to look at, I think I would suggest like identifying complicated areas, because bugs are usually produced by complex ideas. Like if you see like a simple token, ERC20 token contract, there's the chances of you finding like other than the only bug I've ever seen is the thing where they transfer from the like the from address and to address is the same, and then you duplicate tokens. But in my like 1.5 or 2 years of auditing, I've never seen a ERC20 token contract that came out with like another separate bug. So that's because it's like a very simple thing. A lot of people has already
Very battle tested also. Usually you just inherit from battle tested contracts like Solid or Open Zeppelin, and you don't have some extra functionality. It's very like known.
yeah, exactly.